Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
Welcome to the Motivated Martial Artists podcast with me, Jackson White.
And Gavin Cook.
And today we've got a TAGB master, female master, 7th Dan, Annabel Murcott.
Hello, Annabel.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Hello.
Thanks for coming on the show.
All good.
Good.
All good.
So we're going to kick off with the first question, so over to you, Gavin.
Okay then, and Annabel, so could you, obviously we know a little bit about you, but obviously the audience and don't know that much about you, so if you could just sort of give us an insight really into your early life and your childhood and your school and things like that, please.
Yeah, I started Taekwondo when I was 11. One of my friends, she wanted to start Taekwondo. She was actually doing Taekwondo at the time, and I started with her. She was a black tag at the time, and she said, come along. I just started secondary school. And I thought I'd have a go, and that was Stanford YMCA. I carried on with her. She actually packed in. She never did get a black belt in the end. Two brothers, Dave Mears. He was actually a big part of the I think UKTA then as well. I don't know if you remember Dave Mears, Jackson.
Yes, I do, yeah.
He was around a long while, yeah. Well, he was actually, his sister used to train with me, and we trained with Malcolm Scholes then, many years ago, and that was in Stanford YMCA.
So obviously Malcolm was your first instructor.
Yeah, he was my first instructor. When I did start Taekwondo, there was a big person in my life as well, Les Nat. He was a local boxer, and I used to do Taekwondo. Started off just like twice a week, and then I used to do a lot of boxing with him, and I used to go down to the shed in the garden, and we used to do a lot of bag work, old school, skipping ropes,
Excellent.
Washing line in the garden.
Excellent.
All it was just a hard bag, a soft bag, and every time I dropped my guy, I used to clamp it across the head. And he was like 70 then, and we used to do like 10-mile run. I was only like 11 then. So it was really, really hard work then. So that was it, my first time. And then that's obviously up to I was like about 14. I was just training a lot, for then, and competed a lot. So that was my first bit.
So when you walked into that first dojang, then Annabel, was it like an instant love for the sport, do you think, or was it something that took a bit of time to grow on you?
I did like it. I think with then it was obviously all new because there wasn't any students my age. They were all older. Boys, like I said before, and there wasn't many girls there at all. Like I said, the only girl who was there was my friend, and that's because her brothers were both black belts. So none of my friends did it. I didn't really know anybody that did it. It was a reasonably big club at that time, but it was like all new, for me, because I didn't really know anything about Taekwondo then or any martial arts, and there wasn't any other martial arts in Stanford really. It was like, well, I'll have a go, and then my mum said, just have a go and see how you get on, and that was it really. And on training then. The
rest is history.
Yes, really. It just started from then. You've got to think, like I said, I've been trained 38 years, and I suppose there's not many people that you think when they first start they're going to do it for the rest of their lives.
Of course.
And that's what it was. I didn't know at the time, so...
It's funny, isn't it? Because I know certainly, it's obviously the similar sort of time when me and Jackie started. It wasn't like you had a pick of clubs, was it? It's not like now where you can think, I quite fancy having a go at judo or jiu-jitsu. Or it was literally whatever was in your area, where that was what you joined, and it sort of grows from that, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was the only martial arts. And to be fair, because I hadn't really looked into it, I thought, well, I'll have a go. But yeah, and also, you see, then there wasn't different activities that were going on at the time. It was just, I can say this now, I did ballet when I was very young, up to like as 10, and my mum said, you're not giving ballet up until you're doing this first exam. Then I'll get my first exam. I used to not like going, so...
So what
Taekwondo took over.
Yeah, what you say Taekwondo took over. What did you really enjoy about the Taekwondo and the martial arts side of things?
Well, I love I think all from day one, I love the fitness side of it. I love the boxing side of it. I think I've even got photographs of me when I was a white belt on the demo team and when I was a white belt. And then even from day one when I was competing, when I was like yellow stripe, yellow belt.
Right.
So, and I love everything, patterns and sparring, all sorts. You know, I think it was a package for me, really. And I think I always try and, because my instructor then, he was like, if you're going to do competitions, I think you should do patterns and sparring, because patterns are going to help you gradings. I mean, a lot of people now, they just concentrate on the sparring, but I think with your patterns, it helps you with your gradings.
Of course.
And also I think with sparring, if you've been off it for a while, you can still get into it and have a go. And in the ring, you know, you sometimes you may not do so well, but with patterns, I think especially when you go at the downgrades, some of the patterns are really long, and you really need to be mentally focused as well, even to get through the pattern and the nerves.
Yeah, most
definitely. When you're competing, sparring, you can get lost in the fight, and it's either win or lose. But when you do a pattern, even from your balance, like if you do like the moo pattern, if your brain isn't in gear to do that pattern, you'll end up toppling over or not looking. You know, your foot isn't up, or you like say you lose your balance. So I think you need more mental side of it when you do patterns as well. So I think a combination of everything, really.
Yeah, it's getting that mindset right, isn't it, before you even step on the mat, certainly with patterns.
It is. For patterns, and obviously sparring as well, because if you want to be good, you've got to be mentally and physically. Patterns, again, the same, but I think you just need to switch off completely when you do patterns as well.
If you had to pick, if you had to pick patterns or sparring, what would be your favourite?
I couldn't really. I couldn't really say either, because they're so different apart. I like both. I mean, the good thing about patterns, it's good. I do patterns. I've got a reasonably good front room, which I can do the patterns if I need to and I want to do patterns, and you can get on with it straight away. With sparring, yes. I think you need to have good partners. You need to be able to work well with somebody, and it is difficult being an instructor, getting the right sort of people that you want to spar with as well, because it's hard sparring your students.
Of course.
And when you can't really, and being where I am, there's not many instructors who, you know, it's a good hour's drive for me to get anywhere, really, to then train with people as well. So I've been on my own training for much of my life, really.
Yeah, it's quite a paradox, isn't it, being an instructor, because especially a full-time instructor, because on one hand you're doing the sport that you love for a living, but on the other hand, you can't train as much, can you? And you can't sort of.
No.
It's difficult to find that time to, obviously, the opportunities to train, and obviously, like you said, spar people that are on the same sort of level as you. And certainly when a lot of your time is taken up in teaching.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, yeah.
No, definitely. So how old were you when you were awarded your first Dan then, Annabel?
I was 15. So I started when I was 11. I think much the same as you. I started when I was 11, got my black belt with Hill Cho when I was 15.
Actually, I think I may have beat you to my first Dan, because I took mine with KRE. I think I may have beat you to my first Dan, because I took mine with KRE. Back in 83.
Oh, right. Oh, mine was no. I was 15, 1985, I think. Well, not 1985, I think it was.
I think similar time for me. I was 15 when I did mine, Annabel, with Heel Chow as well. So I can certainly understand that experience.
Yeah, my first couple of gradings was with Ree. That was in the Leicester YMCA. Used to go over there just to do, and I wasn't very old then, I was like 11, so go over there, did my first exam over there, that was in Leicester, and then Murray Walker did some of my gradings, and then Master Oliver, he took over, and then he did most of my gradings from when I was like green belt upwards, I think, something like that. So,
okay, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
He's always been a big part, you know.
No, most definitely a huge part in my martial arts career. Tell us a little bit about your competition and your competitive days then, Annabel. How did you get into the sparring side?
Well, like I said, I think I did a lot more sparring actually. Looking back, I probably did more. I think there was more chances of doing competitions then, and when we used to like freestyle competitions before we went straight into the TAGB, we used to go to any competitions we could get to. Really, I can remember my first big title when I just got a black belt, and that was the World Wacko Championships, and that was in London.
Okay.
And I remember me competing then, and then I won my first fight. Then we had like 2 or 3 fights, and then I got through to the final, and they'd done round robins. God knows what they'd done. They'd done messed the draw up, and I ended up fighting the same person again in the final that I beat like 3 rounds before.
Okay.
I'm thinking,
Yeah, a lot of those competitions were making up as they go along, weren't they?
They did, didn't they? So I ended up fighting her again, then getting you didn't get a medal. What they said was anybody who wins this competition then gets put forward to go abroad to fight in the World Wacko organisation competition. Well, because I was only just 15, I was the young. Basically, wasn't any chance for me to go, so I was only young. And I don't think the TA. I can't remember much about it then, but I know that I didn't go because I was only 15, and it was like, oh, you're only 15. Well, I think it was if I'd been an adult, I probably would have gone further onto it. But I was only a child, and I don't think they thought of junior medals then much. So all I got was a badge to put on my suit, so I was a World Wacko champion.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
But I was still chuffed.
Yeah, they were quite rough, those Wacko competitions.
The World Wacko ones, freestyle, but all sees well, the girls, when I first started competing, the boys had to fight the girls.
Yeah.
In some of the competitions. So yeah, no head guard, dodgy safety gear.
Yeah.
And then they used to, I ended up, because I knew a few people in the forces, I actually entered a couple of RAF competitions, pretending I was in the RAF. And I did like pattern, sparring, destruction pattern, destruction. I think I come home with 4 goals, and it's so funny because I was actually on the front page of this RAF magazine saying new champion, and I said that I was in the Wittering as a PTI instructor, and I wasn't. I was only like 15, 16. But I think I did that for 2 years on the trot, and then they clicked on there wasn't actually anything to do with. So
I'm sure nowadays you'd get arrested for impersonating a service personnel, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, actually a lot of people say when I'm doing training sessions, they said you should have been an ex-forces. I said, well, I think it's just loud. It's just got to be, haven't you? You've got to be aggressive. I think even when you're ill, you're still got to be. When you're teaching, you're still got to 110%. You may be dying at death's door, but when you go to classes, you're still going to be like 110% and give it your all.
That's right,
and
yeah.
then claps when you get home.
Did you find that your early boxing training helped you out at some of them sort of Wacko competitions, obviously with you still being quite young?
Oh, yeah, I think I did, because I think you find you get more of the rhythm, and you don't mind getting hit. I never... competitions... You know straight away when you're teaching, you get a young person come in or any students come in, and you know straight away within the first couple of weeks whether A, they're going to be staying, or B, if as soon as they get the safety gear, and whether they hide away or.
Of course.
You know straight away. So yeah, I didn't care about getting hit. I just wanted to get stuck in, and that was it. Fight more. It's
interesting though, isn't it? Obviously, as sort of fellow instructors, and you see a lot of the people come through today. It's a lot different, isn't it? There's, like you say, you get the ones that really want to get stuck in and spar, but then that more often than not, I would say the majority of them aren't that keen about sparring. I'm interested. It's interesting what your thoughts are, really.
It is. I mean, you've got to think now. Taekwondo is on a bigger circuit now. Different martial arts. People join for different reasons. I think with all students now, you don't get the fighters quite like you used to, because I wouldn't say they're mollycoddled by the parents, but it's an easy get out.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people. it comes to the grading and I go, I don't think the Billy wants to do it anymore. But I think sometimes, I can remember there were sometimes that I never used to want to train.
Yeah.
You know, the odd class, I think, oh God, and Mum would say, no, come on, you're going. And I don't think they get that now. I think a parent will think, oh God, thanks, I've got a night off.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's easier for them not to take their child out than get in the car when it's raining and then take them. You know, It's easy to get out for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. It comes down to that mental discipline, doesn't it? But like you say, when you're teaching, but if you've got lots of children in your class, you know, you're very reliant on the parents' attitudes, aren't you, as well, towards the sport?
Yeah, I'd say, I've had some really, really good fighters in the past, but if their parents aren't supportive, then it's a fight. It's fight a losing battle, really.
Of course.
Because you can't, if they haven't got the support from the parents, then it's hard.
Annabel, what would you say is your best achievement in martial arts?
I'd say I got gold. I got 2 world champion titles, patterns and sparring in the same year. I can't remember what year that was now. Actually, I was going to look, but I think with that, getting gold in the patterns and gold in the sparring at the world, it was something I've always dreamed of, because I'd come the world champs prior to that. I'd come a third twice, and. But prior to that, I'd done the World Cup. That was in Germany, and we went with the England squad then. And I did patterns then. I can't remember. I was competing then. I think I must have come second sparring, and I got a gold in the World Cup, European. I think it's the European World Cup. Gordon Fern got a gold in the men's in patterns, and I got a gold in the ladies. And then the competition finished, and then it opens, like most competitions abroad. You have the competition the day, then they have like 3 hours off, and then you then have competitions, the rest of the finals at night.
Yeah.
So I got my medal. I've got a medal. Then went out something to eat. Then we came back, and then I think this Master Oliver said, "Oh, you're doing your pattern again." I said, "You what?" He went, "Yeah, I think you have to, all the medal winners have to do a pattern again for like the team off."
Okay.
You know, like for the whole, it was like the multi-world champion out of the men's and the ladies sort of thing, and all divisions. But I'd had a belly full of food, so I'd had loads of food. I'd only had like 1 or 2 drinks, and then it's like, right, you're on in like 10 minutes, you've got to do your pattern again. I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, I didn't know this. But then the worst thing was when we had to do the pattern again, it was like I was doing moo-moo.
Right.
And the mats were like about a foot deep. They're like really squishy mats.
Yeah.
And the ring was in the middle of everybody. And it's like, oh, Jesus. So I was trying to balance on these mats. It's okay if you're doing sparring, but when you try and do a pattern, it's
I can imagine it's difficult.
A 4-inch mat.
Yeah.
I can't balance it.
Slow motion, high kicks with a belly full of food.
Yeah, Master Oliver saying was that, I think that's a few beers that you had earlier. I thought, no. So, that one, and then obviously the 2 worlds, and then, to be fair, British English, all the titles that I've had, I think it's just run from one to another sort of thing. But the 2 world titles were awesome. And then we went a couple of times when the squad were away, and then I went there, and I think I can remember one of the years. I think they were down in an Ireland squad, and they said, "Could you come and fight for Ireland as well?" Because they were like short in the Ireland squad as well. So I went and fought for them. But I've always been on the circuit around, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure, of course. So we spoke about your achievements in martial arts, which but you didn't mention. Obviously, you're a 7th dan. Were you not one of the first lady masters in the TAGB?
Yeah, I was. I think the 6th dan was probably the one that I think the 6th dan was the one that was a big thing. I think.
Yeah.
The 7th dan, it was nice. I think what it was. I think the 6th dan, Master Oliver wasn't there. He'd actually nipped out to go and do something at the competition, and they'd presented it with me, and he wasn't there. And I know Master Donnelly presented it with us. It was Master Donnelly then.
Yeah.
And Master Oliver said, "Oh God, I missed it." So they have another photograph. So the 7th dan was big. But so for me, I don't class myself as a master. I think everybody deserves the same respect as anybody else, and I'm not one of the people that if people come up to me and bow and say master this, and I'm not, I don't expect any extra gratitude or bowing and all that compared to anybody else.
Sure.
And I think I've learnt that from Master Oliver, because from some of the old masters, if you're a white belt or anything less than a black belt, they didn't have the time of day to do.
No.
Whereas all the committee, they're all fantastic. You could go up to them and ask them anything if you're a white belt or black belt, and they'd still give you the same
level of respect and same level of time.
Yeah,
no, without a doubt. I think
it.
that's fantastic.
And it's like they say, it's not the Dan, it's the man.
Yeah.
And that's it.
No,
and I
most
think
definitely.
that's the biggest thing, really. If people don't bow to me, it doesn't bother me at all, because I'd go and shake the hand and give them a pat, whether white belt or black belt.
Yeah.
And I do forget people that what Dan's they are as well.
Sure, yeah.
When I'm doing a competition, I go and I get embarrassed, because sometimes I can't remember what Dan's are. If you're looking after an area and you stick somebody in the middle, and I'm thinking, what Dan here? And they go, I'm a 6 Dan. I say, oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I just forget, don't you? Who?
Yeah, there's so many things to remember, isn't there? I mean, I forget the name of my own kids half the time these days. When you become a full-time instructor and you've got so many students and you forget their names, and oh dear.
So you are a full-time instructor. Sorry, Annabel.
Yeah, I'm a full-time instructor. Yeah.
So, what would you consider some of your greatest achievements outside of martial arts? Because certainly not for myself, I've done quite a bit outside of martial arts, which I can draw on. But Gavin, he's a full-time instructor. A lot of his things, a lot of his achievements are within martial arts, growing his schools, mentoring his students. What are your key achievements outside of being a martial artist or a martial arts instructor?
I think, there's a lot of when I was in 93. So I opened the club in 1993, and we had a pub. What it was when I first, it was a combination from going part time to full time. So when I first started, when I was just started teaching, I was running 3 jobs. I was working in a hospital. I had a pub, myself and my husband Dale. We had a pub for 3 years, and I was doing Taekwondo as well. So I had 3 jobs. We had the lease for 3 years, and it was like, what do we do now? And I said, come on, we love Taekwondo, so let's go and open a club to start full time. So it's about 1994 we left the pub. 2004 we left the pub, and that's when we started doing Taekwondo full time. So I think for me, going from that phase to that phase, and the kids, when I met Dale, we've got 3 kids. He got 3 kids, Adam, Paul, and Emma. They both the boys got the black belts. So for me, taking on a full-time Taekwondo, full-time family.
Sure, yeah, I can imagine I know for a fact that's not easy at all.
Yeah, there were 4, 6, and 8 when they almost like full-time with me. So it was like juggling Taekwondo work, then straight onto full-time Taekwondo.
Yeah.
So that was
into full-time motherhood as well, almost.
Pardon?
Into full-time motherhood as well, almost.
It was. It is hard, and that, I think that's a combination. How much do you sacrifice if you're competing? That's basically, my biggest thing was really taking on the kids.
Oh, sure.
A big change, and then when the kids got older, I had my niece Emily. She's been with me, helped me teach, and she's back now teaching. So I've always had people with me. See, I think they keep me going. The boys train all the time. They were just Taekwondo full time.
Okay.
And they both went in the army. So that sort of thing. That's just kept me motivated.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest turning point, really.
Talk us through that transition between going from a part-time instructor to a full-time instructor, Annabel. I know it's a journey that I've taken, and it's fraught with difficulties, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when I was at the pub, I used to go to work in the morning. I used to have a pub, get up, go to work at the hospital, come back, do the food for all the pub people, and then I used to go off to Taekwondo, come in, and then work behind the bar again, and that was like 7 days a week. So that was 3 years. But then I tried to build the clubs up as I was at the pub, you see. So when I left there, it's like, I think I'd had 2 clubs opening then by the time I'd left. That was like 4 nights a week. I think what you have to do, I think you've got to do it gradually when you're teaching.
It puts too much pressure on yourself, don't you? You put too much pressure on yourself to try and keep the wrong type of students.
Yeah, and I think you probably need to get yourself a part-time job so you're not relying at the 110%, because you tend to look at the big picture. Then you haven't got to. It's okay putting 100% into Taekwondo, but you need a life as well.
Of course.
And I think that was a combination of me as well, competing, teaching, and then it got to the stage when I was teaching 6 days a week, competing 6 days, and I was training myself. And I think that's when I thought to myself, do you know what? I cannot commit 100% to myself competing.
Yeah.
Because I had some cracking students who were winning world titles, and for me, I think the biggest thing for me is giving myself back for them.
Yeah, well, you start to become more of a mentor, don't you, as opposed to a competitor. You tend to find you become more of a mentor to your own students, and you sort of almost live through their eyes a little bit, don't you, when they're young and they're competing, and you can try and give them their advice.
Well, I felt as though I had to give the competitions up because I wanted to give my students 110%, and I couldn't when I was competing.
Yeah.
Going on to the full time, I mean, it is hard work. I've got roughly about 400 students. I've got 10 clubs.
Brilliant.
And that's I teaching 6 days a week. I teach, I think, to keep going, try and get into schools. We do a lot of schools. I've been at one secondary school for about 14 years now, and I do self-defence with them. So it is, you need to get some good references behind you. You need to get the students involved in you, and then the students via the schools, and the schools will then see that you've got good students. The students are doing well at school, so then they are then going to approach you more to say, look, I can do a self-defence class here free of charge, and then they get to know you a little bit more, and then you can offer your services and open up a bit more. So,
Annabel, obviously you've been doing Taekwondo for quite a few, 34 years, 35 years? 38 years. How have you seen, or how do you think that martial arts are going to change in the future, and what sort of changes have you seen from this, obviously when you started doing it to sort of current day?
I think it's because there's so many different martial arts out there. It's hard for Taekwondo because you got kickboxing and God knows what else. I think Taekwondo. I think hopefully it's going to get better within the schools, but I think you've always got to have to battle with other commitments, other activities that the schools offer, the environment offers, because it's whatever's going on in the town, or whatever the best activity that people want to do at the time. It is a bit of a phase, but kids are the way forward when you're teaching. A lot of people want adults in the classes and teenagers, but to be fair, at the minute, the children are a big thing at the moment for teaching.
That's it. And once you've got the children, you can then start to get the parents, can't you, as well?
Yeah, we've got a really, really, in our club, I'd say most of our clubs are very family orientated.
Yeah.
They are very family orientated. And we haven't really got any, I'd say, macho boys and girls.
I know. Can you imagine the look on Grandmaster Oliver's face when obviously he took my dad, Jackson White Senior, through. He took me through my martial arts career, and then he graded both of my daughters. So three generations of martial artists through one life. It must be an amazing feeling.
It is. I mean, all the committee, Master Oliver, he's been... I can't really say enough about him, really. All the committee, from me refereeing, I mean, me going abroad now, because that's another thing, you see, when now I've stopped competing. My biggest... I love organising competitions and going to competitions. It gets me mad when people say, "Oh, I've only done 2." I mean, I've done my 2 stamps this year at a competition.
Yeah, I feel your pain.
And I'm thinking, you know, you don't get it. Yeah, you know, we're going to Scotland next year. This month.
For me, like yourself, I do it for the love of doing it. You know, to be able to contribute and to watch other people get the same love from it from me. You know, not to mark up to 2 sessions in a book so I can do my next grading.
Yeah, that's it. I try to educate people. It's not. I love to go, and also it's nice to see all the people you haven't seen for a while, and some people ask me advice about, you know, how we're getting on, or some of them are just friends. I mean, you know that some people I've known for 10, 15, 20 years, and it's nice to go to competitions to see them.
Yeah,
it's extended family, isn't it? Extended TKD family.
It is 110%. Yeah, going back to one of my most memorable things, I think, as well. So I just want to recap. It's probably being asked to help at the grading board.
Yeah.
You know, to help with the gradings. So nerve-wracking, dear. You can't go into it really when, you know, people go, "Oh, you know, Jackson, you know that, you know, what I've been doing at the grading." God, dear, I don't want to let anybody down. You know, you've got all the committee there watching me, and people go, "Yeah, but, you know, you're fine, you'll get through." But it's so nerve-wracking when you're having to introduce the grading examiners.
You don't want to make a mistake, do you?
No, and I'm getting used to it now. I'm getting quite happy now because I don't want to let them down, and they are quite jovial now, and they make me feel a lot more relaxed. But that was the scariest thing. I think that's probably even worse than competing. I think even probably worse than grading.
But the challenges just don't stop, do they? Regardless of your grade.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
The challenges just don't stop, regardless of your grade or experience.
110%. I think it probably gets worse because I think you are more. I think you're on the spot a bit more. I don't know. I think you want better of yourself. I think you don't want to let your students down. Most of all, obviously, people are going there to do their black belts, and you want to make sure they're at ease. You do mess up when you're doing the gradings, and you're giving them commands, and then sometimes you have to do the same pattern twice or something, and you've done something wrong, or thinking, "Oh God." I think the first time I ever did, I forgot to say the oath when I was doing the calling out.
Okay.
I think I remember that.
Oh no! I don't think. Well, they said, "Okay, Master Atkins, he forgot it once, so that was fine."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big thing. Being asked to help out the gradings.
But I think it's important as sort of growing individuals and martial artists that you're always consistently putting yourself out of your comfort zone, aren't you? I know, 'cause every time you put yourself out your comfort zone, that's the time that you learn the most. I know certainly when you see your own students grading, you forget sometimes what they're going through and what it feels like to do the first ever grading, and it's so long ago. And you'll see it in your club, Annabel, when you've got parents and you might have a chap or a lady who's maybe a real high director in a company who are used to standing up doing speeches all day long, but put a white dobok on them and a white belt and get them to do a grading, and that they fall to pieces, don't they?
Yeah, I think that is, I would say, the hardest thing. I mean, I won't say I'm pretty good like that. I'm very sympathetic when it comes down to students grading. I can read people and knowing exactly how they feel. I can look at somebody and go, right, he's not happy, he's not well. But I tell you what, the hardest thing is trying to educate your own black belts into doing that, because I'm very, very fortunate to have like nearly 100 black belts in the club. I would say your biggest thing really, when you look at to make a club, it's not you, it's your black belts.
Of course.
To have a good club is, I'd say, look after your black belts. When I'm teaching, my class is for an hour, but my husband Dale, sometimes I'll go over like 10 minutes. We'll go, well, we've got to go. And I said, yeah, but it's just something I want to do. I want to do it. I would give an extra hour's training just off of my back for anybody that wants to help or, you know, that wants to learn. And I think with the black belts, they are your club are your students, and your black belts. And I think the more you give back to your black belts, the more they'll give back to you. And like I said, all our students and black belts, especially the black belts, I mean, they're brilliant, all of them. My club wouldn't be how it is today without them, really.
No, that's really, really, really good advice.
It is. That I'd say, I mean, Master Oliver, he says the one thing, he said you do, and at the gradings, we always get lots of people at the gradings. Competitions, I'll have 25, 30, at least a minimum of 30 officials or referees at a competition. And they want to be there because we do make it sometimes a weekend job. We book a hotel or we'll get up the night before. And I think you've got to motivate your students, but I think you do have to have I think there is a cut-off line between respect and your black belts and yourself, but I think if they see you more as a person, I think they respect you more. It's not all line up, well, off you go. A lot of the students are very personal to me as well. A lot of my black belts, again, have been with me. I've got 2 of mine black belts, and they were my original students from when I first opened the club, and that was 1993. So,
brilliant.
You know, years ago. It's got a lot of years.
Great
so,
stuff.
yeah.
Annabel, it's been fascinating having you on today's episode. It's been a real great insight.
Yeah, there is one thing I want to say.
Yeah,
sure.
Which I didn't actually. My husband says, "Oh, you've got to say." Just explain that I am actually, when I first started training, I am slightly dyslexic as well. So for me, any students out there that struggle physically, mentally, or anything like that, I think it's just to keep going with, I've done Taekwondo from 11, and I didn't ever think that it would be the thing that I do for the rest of my life. But I think with any martial arts or any sport you want to do or anything, live your dream. If this is your dream, live it. And I think you've got to open the doors each day, look for the future, and I think to yourself, right, if this is what I want to do, keep going, never give up. And like I said, if you are dyslexic or anything like that, then that's just a bonus or anything. It just means you're going to have to train extra hard and work extra hard, terminology, everything. It's a package as well, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly martial arts, is a real good way to overcome these sort of disabilities, and if people got autism or dyslexic, and it's a great avenue, isn't it, to go down the martial art route?
It is confidence bringing your students on. You see them, they're very quiet, very timid, and most of my students, some of the students do struggle, but that's a great reward, is when they come in the door and they don't want to bow, they're very quiet, and then within 3 or 4 years, or 4 years' time, they've got the black belts and they're a completely different person. Seeing that change from nobody to somebody is one of my biggest assets in my teaching side of it, that I think, wow, they've come on a long way. I thank all my students, really, for making me the person I am today, and the committee as well.
Well, listen, like I say, it's been really great having you on, Annabel.
Motivated,
Yeah.
and he does agility as well.
Okay, great. We're gonna close off there. Thank you again. Really appreciate you spending a bit of time with us, and it's, like I say, it's been a great insight, Annabel.
It's been great. I think there's a few things that I might have missed off, but I'm sure people will find me at competitions. If anyone who asks me any info about getting the clubs up and running or motivating themselves teaching, I'm very approachable at competitions. And whether you're white belt or black belt, then I'm always open for advice in that through competitions as well.
Could people find you on Facebook, Annabel?
Yeah, Annabel Murcott.
Okay.
.com.
Fantastic. All right, brilliant. We'll get a hold of you that way.
Okay then.
Okay, bye for now. Speak to you soon, Annabel. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
See you
Annabel.
then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and our Facebook group, The Motivated Martial Artist Podcast.
Or check us out on Instagram, The Motivated Martial Artists,
where you'll see much more content and early insight into some of the interviews and some of the guests and some of the conversations around the things that we're discussing. Hope to see you all next week.
Bye for now.
Bye.